Hi everyone, my name is Christina and I am an English Studies major at Texas A&M University at San Antonio. In my studies, I have learned about code meshing language in academics. And according to the Multicultural Literacies, code meshing is defined as the act of combining local, vernacular, colloquial, world dialects of English with standard written English in everyday conversation and formal assignments. In my education, I've read a number of written works by scholars and authors explaining why code meshing is important in academics. So not only does it encourage learning, it also helps students create a unique writing voice, as well as empower students to bring their language and their personalities into an academic space. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about that using things I've read in school. So in 2010, author Vershawn Ashanti Young wrote a 10-page response to scholar Stanley Fish entitled, "Should They Use Their Own English?" In Young's argument, he talks about how even the most highly regarded scholars don't always use standard academic English in their writing or their speak. So why are we expecting high school students and even freshman-level writing students in college to do so? To pull a quote from Young's argument about how we should be teaching English in school, he says, "This means we should teach how language functions within and from various cultural perspectives, and we should teach what it takes to understand, listen, and write in multiple dialects simultaneously." Throughout this whole academic article, Young is code meshing. He is using slang, he is using written dialect, he is using swear words. And as a college student myself, I found it really easy and actually enjoyable to read. Because Young was code meshing, I was able to understand the message that he was trying to convey in a clearer way, meaning that the education that I was receiving became accessible, when usually academic articles are a little too dense for me to understand, even as an English studies major who reads a lot of academic articles. So Vershawn Ashanti Young was code meshing in Should They Use Their Own English? I also want to bring up a piece by Laymon called The Art of Storytelling. In this written work, he is talking about how he found his unique writing voice, being inspired by his grandmother, going through a traditional English education while also simultaneously listening to hip-hop. Because Laymon was able to combine hip-hop with his traditional writing education, he was able to create a unique voice that not only appealed to academics, but also appealed to people who were similar in their likes and interests to him. In a similar way, we also see this in the written works of Miss Gloria Anzaldua. Throughout my time at A&M, one of my required readings was always How to Tame a Wild Tongue by Gloria Anzaldua. In this piece, she passionately talks about how she's trying to find her identity within language. She integrates English with Spanish and talks about how her Spanish is not Spanish enough for Latinos, but it's a little too Chicano for Texans. And then sometimes she still gets English wrong, and trying to find her place within language. But by writing How to Tame a Wild Tongue, she takes back the language that she has. In Anzaldua's piece, she writes, "So if you really want to hurt me, talk badly about my language. Ethnic identity is twin skin to linguistic identity. I am my language. Until I can take pride in my language, I cannot take pride in myself." Imagine with me one moment that students were allowed to do this. That they were allowed to bring themselves and their personality into academics. They could write passionately. They could write about things that matter to them because they have access to it in their own language. Of course, there is a time and place for standard academic English. However, if we want to encourage young students to participate in their learning and to love to learn, we need to make it accessible to them, meaning to code mesh, meaning to learn about multiple dialects and learn tolerance for dialects and integrating that into the classroom. It doesn't even have to be limited to spoken or written language. In this TikTok I'm going to show you, this teacher has been able to create a culture within her classroom where these students can just be themselves and enjoy learning.
Go ahead and find us a letter E. Can you see a letter? Oh, I think he found one. Bah, 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 bah. Oh, let's go. Let's go. Letter E. Letter E. Letter E. Letter E. Letter E.
Code meshing in the classroom is something that we might even do without even knowing. It's like when a middle school or high school teacher explains to her students that Romeo was simping for Juliet. It could be as simple as a call and response attention getter, such as, "Look at all those chickens!"
Look at all those chickens!
Associating students' language and identities into their learning is not a bad thing. It's not something that we should bury and beat out of them. It should be something that we should work towards and embrace. Students are all unique, and they all have so many ideas that they could bring forward if they were allowed to communicate in the way that they know how. Thank you for listening to my thoughts about code meshing. Hopefully you could find ways to integrate it into your learning or your classroom, because I promise you it is uplifting and it makes education accessible. I will link all the written works that I've referenced down below, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!